This video is for anybody whose plan A is just maybe not cooperating right now, and you're wanting to gently or maybe not so gently get it to work. I know that a lot of people say that if you want your plan A to work, you shouldn't have a plan B, because otherwise it's as if you're telling the universe that you're not really interested in your plan A. But in this video, I'm going to flip that idea on its head. I'm also going to share 3 tips that are really important when you're planning your plan B so that you can get your plan A to actually work. This video isn't a classic tarot reading. I'm going to be sharing my experience because I feel like people who are on the spiritual path or people who like to pull tarot cards will probably relate. But don't you worry, I will be pulling a card in this video. So I wanted to talk about how in my life I've noticed that when I really wanted my plan A to work, it's actually worked even better when I've had a good plan B. The first time I noticed this was when I moved to Montreal. I came here with a 1-year visa, and as soon as I got here, I knew I wanted to stay. So I started applying for an extension or another types of visas. But since I was a freelancer, I was told that it was going to be very hard for me to get a visa. Not to mention that the 1-year visa was already kind of running low. And so I was starting to think, oh gosh, okay, what am I going to do? So at the time, though, everything else seemed like a second choice. That being said, I didn't have another choice. I couldn't stay. So I started researching other cities where I didn't need visas, that felt exciting to me, but not so much, and where I could go. And that still, though, I was like, okay, it might be a good plan B. So I started to look at apartments, and I looked at Google Maps, and I looked at blogs, and actually it really started to feel real. And a funny thing happened is that one of the cities actually started to feel pretty exciting to me. Like I was getting to the point where I was like, wow, this is actually on par with my wanting to stay in Montreal idea, my plan A. And yes, that is exactly when my visa for Montreal came through. And that got me thinking, because I was realizing that before that, I had always heard about how detachment was a really important part of manifesting. But I always thought it was kind of confusing to me. It always felt like a catch-22. I couldn't understand how you could want something, but then be detached, which to me felt like you weren't wanting it. But with this plan A, plan B thing, all of a sudden I realized that one of the good things about my having that plan B was that it just loosened my grip a little bit for my Montreal. Like I wasn't obsessing about it as much. I wasn't thinking about it all the time. And also I was just open to other possibilities. And that's when I realized that having a plan A helps you detach, helps you be able to detach naturally, really, because I really felt like, oh, okay, I'm actually going to be okay with this plan B. After that, this happened a couple more times. I was single, and my plan A was I wanted to be in a relationship. So I put all the chances on my side. I got on apps, I went on dates, I got friends to set me up, but it wasn't really working, and I just didn't really feel like I was meeting anybody special. So instead of getting attached and obsessed about it, I thought, okay, well, what if I'm going to be single for a while? What if I'm going to be single forever? What is that? What would it take for me to feel? What would it take for me to feel just as good or just as excited or have my life feel just as meaningful as what I was expecting it to be when I was in a relationship? And I started brainstorming, and I started thinking about what I would really want and what was important to me, and what would it take for me to feel just as happy if I was single. And the more I leaned into that, the more I actually got to the point where I was feeling okay being single. And I was actually like, oh, okay, good things can be happening to me even if I'm single. And yes, you are right. That is exactly when I met somebody. So again, my plan B helped me get my plan A. My plan B helped me manifest my plan A. So if you're in a place right now where your plan A just doesn't seem to be working, like maybe you're trying to have kids and you've tried everything, medical interventions, and nothing is working. Or maybe you're trying to find a partner, or maybe you're wanting to change jobs and you just can't. I would suggest that you try and find a really good plan B. And I know what you're saying, like you don't want it. I get it. Everything seems like a second choice. I've been there. But I do think that if you can gently ask yourself, what would it take? What would it take for you to feel just as happy, just as satisfied, just as purposeful? That's where you start leaning into your plan B. And I have 3 tips for you that are important for your plan B to have in order for them to be able to make your plan A work. 1, and the most important, you can't cheat it. You can't be like, oh, wait, I'm going to pretend to have a good plan B so that my plan A works. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. The universe knows it, you know it, it just doesn't work. You have to really believe in your plan B. You have to really like your plan B, because the magic of detachment doesn't work when you're pretending not to care. It happens when you're really able to be open to more than one possibility. Second tip, plan B still has to reflect who you are. For example, if you're like, oh, well, if I can't have this, well, then I'm just going to quit my job and go move to the other world. Sure, why not? If that's really what's in alignment with you, then go for it. That can be your plan B. But if that's not really who you are, then it's not going to work. Plan B doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. On the other hand, plan B is not a sadder and smaller version of your plan A. Plan B is just a different expression of who you are, a different possibility of who you can become, or your purpose, or your creativity. And number 3, you have to make it real. Just like I did when I was researching for Montreal and I was looking online about apartments or looking on blogs and things, you have to make your plan B feel real. So let's say your plan B is that you want to change jobs. Well, in that case, if you're going to change jobs, does it mean that you need to go back to school? Do you need to take an online course? If so, what is the schools? Go look at them. Go look at where you would be staying, or if it's online, what are the courses? How much does it cost? Do you have to do something in your life right now to make that happen? Because the more you can make your plan B real and really imagine yourself living it, the more that means that you are loosening your grip on plan A. You're starting to detach, and that's what's really important. Okay, so now it's time to pull a card. Let's see what we get. Ooh, the 7 of Swords. 7 of Swords is about being sneaky, cheating, lying, being strategic. And I'm getting 2 messages from this. The first message kind of talks about what we already said in this video, which is, in a way, plan B is a little bit like cheating your brain. It's not really cheating, because in the end, you're really doing the work of detachment, but it's just kind of a way of helping yourself get there in a sneaky way. The second message I'm getting, though, is this card can also be about self-deception. The little fox on this card is sleeping on this sword, almost as if he's not willing to give it up. And that makes me think a little bit about sometimes how when we're going after our plan A's, we can be so attached to them and also have invested so much time and energy and money and studying into them that sometimes they just become things that we think we have to have. And the really interesting thing is that when you start thinking about plan Bs, is that they make you ask the good questions, like what's in alignment, what is still worth it for you, what is really true for you, because those things change with time. And this card is asking you not to deceive yourself and to be honest and to make the hard decisions if you have to. Because yeah, it can take a lot of guts to say no to your plan A and go down another path. Maybe you have to backtrack. Maybe you have to give up all your time or investments that you've made into making plan A happen. But this card is asking you not to deceive yourself and to be honest. The interesting thing is, what I found with time, though, is that sometimes when I'm creating a good plan B, they actually become better than my plan A. And that's a really good thing. That can be really exciting. Just because you're giving up on your plan A doesn't mean that you're quitting. It just means that you're actually being open and letting life surprise you. So on that, I'm wishing you lots of love and lots of laughter as you go after your plan A, or if you go after your plan B, or if you go after plan A to go after plan B. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next video.